Hey guys, I have two openings to take on factory partnerships where I'll be your partner on Amazon. You would work directly with me and sell through one of our accounts. If this is of interest to you, please email me directly, danny@sellersessions.com. Also, we're now open to take on more clients for our PPC agency Databrill. You can visit sellersessions.com/agency for more details and also request some of our new case studies. If you'd like to work with me one-on-one, turning around your business, some troubleshooting, dealing with ranking or PPC issues, you can book 1-hour consults via sellersessions.com/consultancy. Basically, this is a cost-effective way to troubleshoot your business and get a video recording of the session so you're able to put it into action post-call. Hey guys, welcome back to Seller Sessions. Let's dive straight back in. We don't have access to, if we're liable for it, right? Then shouldn't it be that we should own the data of the customer? So basically, you get customer data on eBay, don't you? It's a different marketplace. But
right, absolutely.
My point here is that if you're liable, you've sold direct, you're selling your product via their mechanism. They're our customers, not Amazon's. You've got to make a decision. Are they our customers or are they Amazon's customers? Do you see where I'm coming from? You can't pull from both ends of the tail there.
So you're saying, if Amazon, you are not Amazon, your customer or your supposed customer is really Amazon's customer. And I actually have a picture book. I'll email it to you. I've posted a few blogs that I put together for a Washington State hearing. And it just to the painful point of obviousness shows how ridiculous the notion is that, somebody would call you a retailer when you have no customer. It's like, even the confirmation emails, and I think actually Amazon changed this because I've written about this or I did a talk on this, right? Even when you buy something on Amazon, the confirmation email doesn't even mention your seller name. Like they put it in the most inconspicuous place, just enough to where they think they can get away with it. Yeah. But it's ridiculous. I mean, if Amazon can really get out of its obligation to collect sales tax by saying you're a retailer because their terms and conditions say so, and because we put that little sold and shipped by thing with your tiny name there that you can't even fully use if it ends in .com, then why wouldn't every other store in the world do that? I mean, why wouldn't Walmart do that? Forget even their online store. Like, why wouldn't it be like you walk into a Walmart, right? And you're like, in Walmart's like, yeah, we're just a marketplace. Apple, when you buy that iPad, Apple's the seller. We're just their marketplace. You take it up to the till and you're like, oh, no sales tax because we're just a marketplace. I mean, we know that doesn't work because that would be like basically fraud if any store tried to do that. But again, it's part of that. Amazon gets away with it. It's the politics of it all. I mean, they act in such the retailer in every respect. They control the transaction, yet they get away with this. They get away with doing something that no other store company could because, hey, listen, man, they are the #1 job creator. They are going to states. They're building warehouses. They're creating jobs. They're infrastructure. All this nonsense. And the funny part is like it's not a tax break. I want people to realize well, all companies get these tax breaks. Yeah, I actually helped GE move to Connecticut from Boston. Move from Connecticut to Boston. This was the biggest headquarters move in the history, and it was only in 2016, and then Amazon came in. So it's not like this was a small deal. This was all over the news. And I know what tax incentives look like. I've been a part of these deals. The difference is what Amazon's negotiating is a price advantage, and that's messed up. I mean, that's anti-competitive if you ask me. I mean, they're basically going to a state and saying, we're going to put jobs and warehouses in your state, and you're going to turn a blind eye to the fact that we're going to sell stuff in your state tax-free. Basically, we get to be a duty-free shop in your state, and nobody else does, right? And you're going to let us do that because we're giving you jobs. And in many instances, states actually sign away their right to make the marketplace collect under the current law, to enforce their law. And they think that that's enforceable. It's highly unenforceable because it really, to me, does amount pretty close to some form of fraud. I mean, it's pretty scary.
Bribery, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, if the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, which is something we have in the United States applied, I would say that that's probably one where they would get a lot of attention. I just don't think people realize that how to sort of do the Domestic Corrupt Practices Act. I don't think people really understand the laws there. But I think it's also people don't understand what's really happened. They still think this is the same as giving a company a 20-year property tax abatement on an abandoned warehouse in Worcester that they want to convert to their headquarters. That's a different different gravy than than actually going to allow somebody to be a duty-free shop and nobody else. I mean, that's really problematic. In the States, I mean, there are people in the States that should probably go to jail for what some of these deals they're making because they know it. California certainly knows it. I mean, I hate to be harsh, but it really is, that ridiculous. But again, the media doesn't understand it. The news doesn't understand it. They're just not, we live in a world where if you can't get your point across in 10 seconds, and I think that's been Amazon's advantage in this space, is that it's so complicated and convoluted that it's so hard. I mean, look, we've been talking for so long. It's just like, how do you shorten that up into like a tweet?
Let's quickly cover that. You know that you're talking about the media. Now, one thing, and I've mentioned this dozens of times on the show, is that you see that Amazon tends to react. CNBC, Wall Street Journal, lots of people covering stories on Amazon. And it seems that there's more and more of these stories appearing on a regular basis. When it comes down to customers, they react pretty fast. Is there a way of leveraging your contacts in the world of media? Will that have any impact on what you're doing with the guild as well?
Absolutely. It comes down to, we have contacts in media. It's just, messaging. I mean, we keep in mind the guild is sort of a one-person organization in terms of operations, and I'm that one person.
Yeah.
And we're trying to get people to, we want people to contribute money. It's important. It's what keeps us going. It's what allows us to do amazing things like what we're about to do in California, which we'll get into in a moment. But honestly, I've said this in 2017 when we first started kind of experimenting with how are we going to raise money to fight this as a collective organization, and basically a campaign which basically morphed into the guild, is that if we had a PR budget, if we could afford 40,000 to whatever the heck it costs a month, but it's a lot, 50,000 a month, we would win this. I mean, think about it. The number one platforms for women-owned businesses right now and minority-owned businesses is Amazon. Mm-hmm. I spoke to Cynthia Stein not that long ago, and she's a big proponent for women-owned businesses. I think most people know Cynthia in the suspension space. And she was telling me that from her experience, like she referred to, I think her expression was the great equalizer, that mm-hmm. Amazon was truly the equalizer for women-owned businesses because there just was no bias, right? It's like it's you and your laptop, and everybody has the same chance. Yeah. And that's really rare, especially in American society right now. We still have unequal pay. And that's a good thing. And that's why, that's something I noticed because so many people who contact me are women-owned businesses, empire builders. People start with nothing and they build these amazing brands and labels and product mixes. And it's really amazing. It's really powerful to see that. And then you get, some 60-year-old bureaucrat in the Department of Revenue in Massachusetts who happens to also teach at a local college but has absolutely no clue about technology e-commerce, but certainly knows how to make a big company like Amazon like them or like the state when they're coming in, taking action against all the sellers, or you have California going after all the sellers. Do you expect me to believe, do you believe this, right? Knowing what we know about California, knowing what we know about Washington state, right, as sort of the most liberal states in our country, mm-hmm. Do you really think their politicians want to be known as public enemies number 1 and 2 to women and minority-owned businesses? But nobody's getting that message out. They don't know it's happening, right? I don't think Senator Feinstein is going to be comfortable that the governor and the tax division, that even though she's federal, it reflects on her. It reflects on her competence. Yeah. It makes her look like Orrin Hatch, the guy who asked Mark Zuckerberg how Facebook makes any money when they don't charge for their services. That's what these politicians look like when they don't get involved. And when they don't understand the issue, right? Yeah. And the media too. The media doesn't get it. They don't think it's sexy. Tax is not sexy. No. And that's part of the defense. That's the thing. It's like they don't know that tax is really just sort of the front of a much bigger problem. But and Amazon, again, I think they benefit from the complexity and the subject matter. There's 2 things the media does not like, right? They want something that fits in a tweet and is not taxed. That's the reality. So, the amount of tax has already gotten in the media so far this year is pretty impressive. But, it's getting that message out there. And this is something you need a PR firm to do. That this is really more than that. This is about states, doing a lot to harm what we would consider to be really amazing progress in this country.
It's down, like you said, it's down to bully tactics. Like if you're not aware that's going on, like if we didn't have someone like you fighting our corner, a lot of people misled and misinformed about sales tax, it's a scary subject for most because they're misinformed about it. And this is how these states can trade off of that, can't they? Because there's always going to be a sucker.
Absolutely, and they are, and they're nasty, and I've experienced their nastiness. But when I experienced it at Microsoft or GE or Walmart, I had a multi-million-dollar litigation budget. So if I needed to hire an army of lawyers to push back, I could.
Yeah.
We don't have that.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's become bullying. It really is they're picking on the most defenseless people in the world. And these are the people that are supposed to be the heart and soul of our country. And really all the right. Every politician is pro small business, right? But yet here they are. Here is the biggest existential crisis to small business. And what is the biggest revolution for small businesses ever? Amazon, the ability to sell instantly into the global economy, right? Amazon sellers, the constant problem with Amazon sellers and the advice they get from lawyers, not just in tax, is that the advice they get from lawyers are typically small business advice because they don't realize that they're a new class of business. They're the small global business. You guys are small global businesses. And so you might be small, but you now have to deal with Prop 65 potentially in California, even though you're in Nebraska, right? There are these things out there, there are these threats out there. It's why I typically recommend Delaware LLCs, not the Wyoming job, because like the quick and dirty Wyoming thing, because it's you don't know what's out there for you, the product liability risk, you just don't know. And so, it's that understanding, but that's a good thing. These are cool. This is cool. It's what Amazon did. They made it possible for a person for $5 to ship something somewhere and have their products sell in competition with stuff Walmart sells. I mean, that's unbelievably revolutionary. Yeah. But the states are killing it, and nobody's paying attention. And these people are getting bullied. So all these pro small business people are totally, out to lunch with the guy who's asking Zuckerberg how Facebook makes money when they don't charge. And that is a huge problem. And it's allowing these states to get away with something that they shouldn't be getting away with. And it goes back down to messaging. And I'll give you another quick example about messaging and why it's so important. We had a big controversy this year. Probably nobody was paying attention about tampon taxes. I don't know if you would have even noticed that, but it was a big deal. A reporter noticed that they were paying sales tax on tampons. And they wrote an article in Cosmopolitan about how that's effectively a woman tax. And you're right, if you ask me. It's a woman tax, and it's disgusting.
Well, it's unacceptable because it's
like, this is a necessity of life. This is like water. I mean, it shouldn't be taxed but anyway, we don't need to go into the constitutionality of that. It's obviously problematic. Did they have to go to court and get a constitutional law ruling? No. All they had to do was just make the issue. The issue went viral from Cosmo, right? And it went so viral that the politicians were so embarrassed by the people in these state tax departments, not even knowing it, not even being aware of it, not even thinking that how problematic that could be. And it's also, the law too, but just how embarrassed that this was happening, and just quickly fixed it. They just took action to get it fixed. They didn't need a constitutional law because they knew that this is not an argument you want to fight, right? You don't want to be the guy saying that the tampon tax is constitutional because you're going to look like an idiot. Yeah. Right. And that's what we need to do, because this is also a big issue. This is a huge issue that's hurting a lot of people, that if the message really got out the right way, if somebody in the media actually figured it out and wrote the right article and made these politicians look like idiots for fighting it, we'd be done. Because the content is there. We just don't know how to spin it.
It's dressing up the whole thing, isn't it? Like you said, tax isn't sexy. So they need to find an angle for it to work, and at the end of the day, the media's there to sell news and newspaper. Obviously it's gone tomorrow. So they're always chasing new eyeballs on a daily basis. So maybe, your tax story isn't going to be as shiny as the next story, because at the end of the day, that's what they're there for, aren't they? They're providing news, and they need as many eyes as possible on it.
Right, but I read this tax stories, I do write about it, and I cringe. I want to throw something because it's just so poorly written and misunderstood. And part of the problem,
is because that's a general. It's not like written by someone who understands tax and finance. It's written from the point of view of like someone who's writing general articles for a magazine.
Absolutely, but you should. They don't do the homework. They don't want to do it. They don't want to invest. the best article I read on this issue, the best was the one with Fiona Ma by a guy named David Dane in Capital Maine. That he did a great article. He spent a lot of time, but even that there was, there were some imperfections. But I mean, but no, I don't know. Nobody saw it. But I mean, the news media that I speak to, they just don't want to put in the time. It's almost like I sort of joke. It's like if the Watergate incident happened, today, if that was something, I don't think Nixon would be impeached. I think nobody would even know it happened. I mean, it's just so shocking to me that people don't want to put in. Reporters just don't. I guess they're under so much pressure to move content quickly because attention spans are like down to like a half a second, that they don't want to put in the time for long articles and long investigations because it doesn't work anymore. Mm-hmm. Those types of pieces, if you want to write an editorial and you start to approach 700 words, they start to lose interest. Try explaining this in 700 words. And I challenge people to, because I don't have time to write these things, but these are things we need to be doing. So if you're a good copywriter or you have access to a copywriter, we certainly appreciate financial donors, but donate a couple hours of your copywriter's time to us so we can get some messages out there. That's
well, I'll tell you what, the Amazon space isn't short of copywriters. I can tell you that for sure.
And you know what else? We're not short of viral marketers. And that's another thing, like again, getting this message out there that this is really bad for small businesses, right before we spoke, I spoke to a woman who was a single mother in Florida who's got a $200,000 business. And, it's like, and she's getting hit up for major back taxes. And she'd been actually paying the taxes herself all these years, just because I don't even know why. And for whatever reason, she's getting these letters and things saying, you owe this and you owe that, because she listens to a software company and registered, obviously. And it's like, that story needs to get out there. That's what people need to realize. Like this is, and especially because it's all unnecessary, right? It's not like we're advocating an anti-tax position. We're 100% pro-tax.
Yeah.
I'm 100% pro states get whatever they want. They want the money.
It's about fairness, isn't it? It's about removing the bully from the table. It's about fairness.
Yeah. Do it the right way. Make Amazon collect. Right. Just do it the right way. I don't care about your politics and money. You have to do it the right way if you want your cake. Right. And it's the same with the income taxes. It's like,
how can people get involved with the guild, etc.? Do you want to?
Yeah. So really quickly, I just want to kind of quickly finish up. So okay. Apologies. Yeah, just where we are now. So we did that. Amazon pushed the marketplace legislation. So now, having pivoted real quick, we see that Amazon's pushing the marketplace legislation, and whether we can see from our friends at Fiona Ma and our sources within Senator Burke's space that Amazon's been working with these people, and suddenly this marketplace legislation gets introduced by them. What that does, now that we had to retain our second counsel, our backup counsel, which is just as good as our other counsel, in many ways the timing couldn't be perfect because our new counsel are very politically connected in the state of California. And now that we have marketplace legislation on the table, we have an opportunity to go from litigation to lobby, right? Legislative action and we can now get a seat at the table for ourselves and say, hey, these are things we want in this bill. We want a definition of retroactive that includes FBA sellers so that no FBA seller can be held accountable for back taxes in the state of California. We can make our demands heard and we can get our message out through lobbying, and I'm optimistic that we have, it's a great opportunity and a much better opportunity now, because if we go to court, we can't get that injunction so easily because Amazon would say, or the state would say, hey, we've got this legislation coming online, so there isn't this sort of long-term immediate harm. We're working to get it taken care of right away. And that sort of doesn't kill our case, but it slows it down a lot. And so now we have to be ready to pivot. And if they kill that legislation, then we go back in and do it. I think we basically backed Amazon to a corner where they have to back marketplace legislation in California, or else they risk a multi-billion-dollar assessment. And the fallout from that could be huge from investors. Ernst & Young, their auditor, this would be Enron, times 100 if we had actually gotten a judgment against Amazon saying they owe a bunch of back taxes. So that's where we are. So we have to pivot to lobby. I'm very excited about that. We need people to join. So we want people to get involved. OnlineMerchants.guild.org is where you go to get involved. OnlineMerchantsGuild.org. If you have any questions, email me, Paul at OnlineMerchantsGuild.org. But please join. It's really important. This is about you. All the money, it's a volunteer organization. All the money is going to pay our legal fees. Our operating expenses are nominal. We pay for Zoom and hosting fees, and we have to make our financials public record anyway. So you'll see eventually what we're doing. But we're a volunteer organization. I volunteer a lot of my time because I believe in this issue. I believe in this organization. I believe that this is needed. And I hope that sellers will, even if after tax is done, I hope sellers will see the point and continue to support it and help it grow into something that it could be a really powerful organization, giving sellers a voice in politics and being there to advocate for them. So.
And again, to the guys in the audience, that obviously we give out, we publish 2 to 3 times a week of free content. All I'm asking is if you can reach out to Paul, if you're a copywriter, offer a little bit of your time, like we trying to put something back into the ecosystem, if you like, for sellers. Hopefully this episode or these couple of episodes will give more awareness around it as well. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing this move forward and you making a success of it. Again, thank you for your time, and I look forward to speaking to you again soon, guys. I'll see you again in the next few days. Take care.